Okay guys, welcome to your next video. This is, so at this point, you've done poetry, you've done read aloud, now we're right here. So I'm going to go ahead and, this will be a quick video. I'm going to show you how to do both of these things in this video with the lesson Author's Craft, and then the summary, which is actually going to include our word study. Word study this week is just going to actually be review because it's only a 4-day week and we will not be having a spelling quiz this week. Okay, so the reading lesson today is actually, we're using Wild Robot, and we're just using actually the very first page of the story. So in Author's Craft, it's the language and techniques that a writer uses to make his or her writing interesting, kind of like we've been talking about with our narrative. It just gets your attention and it keeps you reading. So this is from the beginning of The Wild Robot, right when the hurricane happens. So I'm going to read it to you again. It says, our story begins on the ocean with wind and rain and thunder and lightning and waves. A hurricane roared and raged through the night, and in the middle of the chaos, a cargo ship was sinking down, down, down to the ocean floor. The ship left hundreds of crates floating on the surface, but as the hurricane thrashed and swirled and knocked them around, the crates also began sinking into the depths. One after another, they were swallowed up by the waves until only 5 crates remained. By morning, the hurricane was gone. There were no clouds, no ships, no land in sight. So, what I think is interesting here is that they use really good word choice. So the voice, the mood, okay? So a hurricane roared and raged in the middle of the chaos. And then even the way this is typed, down, 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 okay? It's going in the direction of the word. Hurricane thrashed and swirled. So Author's Craft, okay, is literally how an author crafts their writing, how they make it sound interesting and exciting and not just simple and choppy and boring, okay? So I just wanted to kind of show you that example, and you can also use this type of, this lesson can be applied to your narrative writing as well. Okay, so what I want you to do, it still has to do with Wild Robot, but it's not exactly, doesn't have anything to do with Author's Craft, but this is kind of how we're going to get into word study. So here's what I want you to do. On a clean sheet of notebook paper, I want you to go ahead and put your name and your number and today's date, September 2nd, 2025, and you're going to call it The Wild Robot Summary. I am aware that we have not finished the book. I think that you should be able to fill out most of the chart. If you don't feel like you can, because we're going to finish the story tomorrow, then just fill out the parts that you think you can fill out, which you should be able to do C, S, P, E, maybe even R, and also probably life lesson, because we talked about that on Friday. So just fill out what you can, okay? And whatever you don't fill out, I will give back to you on Wednesday so that you can finish filling it out after you take your quiz. But you will turn this in to Mrs. Ray, please. Okay, so C, S, P, E, R, L, L. Okay, and you can almost kind of just make it a chart so that it's organized. Okay, align, line, events, resolution, and your life lesson. All right. Try and give me some sentences. Here we can just use bullet points, maybe 3 important events. On her problem, I want you to think of what her main problem is. You can use your notes or on my board, right? What we wrote down for problem, how it's an issue, goal, or desire. I know we haven't talked about it, but go ahead and describe what you think her main conflict is. and what are the important events that lead to the resolution, and then what can the reader and the character learn from this. Now, here is the word study part of this. For the word study part, you're going to highlight words. So write the whole thing first, what you can, and then highlight words that contain VCE syllables and final stable syllables. Okay, right? That's the consonant LE words. So any words that you see that you write up here, take a highlighter and highlight those words throughout. So you're giving me kind of like, you're letting me know that you understand the story we're reading, and then you're also showing me that you can point out words that have VCE and final stable syllables. Okay, so that's kind of like reading and word study together. Turn this in when you fill out everything you think you can fill out. I will look at them and give them back to you on Wednesday if you need to add more to it once we finish the story. All right, once you've done that, you'll turn that in, and then you're going to go listen to one more video where I talk about adjectives and adverbs, where you're going to take notes in your spiral, and then talking about closing out your personal narrative. Okay?